The heck with those pesky rules. We're going rogue. Hello, my lovelies. I am Madam Crystal Butterfly. And if you have been just enjoying all of these videos I keep shoving on out, please like, comment, and if you have not yet, slap the subscribe button like it owes your money. And don't forget to give that little notification bell a ring. Real quick to the quick, my new book, Curse of the Frog Prince, Part 2, is getting closer to being out of development and on the Amazon platform. So you're going to want to be on the lookout because it is a really, really fun story. Also, if you have not grabbed my book, Curse of the Frog Prince, Part 1, or Violet Evergreen and the Seeds of Rebellion, then you're going to want to do that because they are both a couple of really exciting stories. All right, that is enough of the dilly-sliddally. Let's get to the good stuff. Alright, my lovelies, some time ago, I told all of you a little bit about how you can create magic rules in your book to make it easier for you to explain how magic works in your story. But you want to know something? You don't have to do that. That's right. You can go completely magic rule free in your tale. The real thing is that you just have to be mindful about how you do it so that it makes sense to your audience. And one good way to go completely rule free is to put limitations on what your characters can and cannot do magically. Now, you don't exactly have to explain to your audience what those limitations are as long as you properly imply them. So how do you apply these limitations without going through the process of explaining what they are or how magic works to the reader? Well, let's start off with using Tolkien's Lord of the Rings as an example. Now, in Tolkien's story, he shows that magic is just something magical beings like elves and other creatures, wizards, all that, can't just do. It's just a thing they have the ability to do. He doesn't explain how they do it. He just says that they can do it. But he also puts limitations on what they can and cannot do. Alrighty, so in Lord of the Rings, you got your standard evil sorcerer who wants to control the world, and he made himself this all-powerful ring to do so. Naturally, they can't stand. So, creatures of that world are determined to stop him. How do they stop him? They have to destroy that ring. Destroy the ring, defeat him. Because that's just how the spell works. Why? It just does. And by doing so, Tolkien shows that this super powerful sorcerer was not all powerful. There was a restriction on his power because he literally is connected to this ring that if something should happen to it, his butt is grass. But it's not just his OP sorcerer that he creates these limitations for. He does it for several other magical characters. One I'll go to is named Gandalf. Now, Gandalf is an extremely powerful wizard, but his magic, once again, has a limitation. Tolkien doesn't have to name what that limitation it is. He implies it. One way he does so is the party is on its way to destroy the ring. Now, obviously, Gandalf, if you don't know the story, is clearly a member of that party. And he's not like, oh, well, I'll just magically teleport or zap myself there. We'll have this whole ring situation solved. Outside of the fact that Gandalf cannot touch the ring without getting corrupted into wanting to keep it, he also doesn't have any magical teleporting powers, which is the power that every time an adversary comes their way, they won't have to fight. He has to join them in fighting them because his magic can't solve everything. And Tolkien wrote it in a way where the audience just has to accept that because they see this powerful wizard having to prepare himself for battle, not just worry with using his magic staff, but also using a sword to defend himself, which lets the reader know, hey, yeah, he's got some magics, but the magics ain't getting him out of this because the magics can't do everything. Also, before the angry commenter finishes typing, I know Tolkien put characters who were just absolutely OP in the story and could have just 1, 2, 3 been done with the whole thing like a snap. And that is another area of not having magic rules when you want to write about magic. One of these all-powerful magic wielders who could have easily solved their whole problem with the evil sorcerer and the ring is brought up. And here is where we get into another area of magic without rules, only in this case there is no limitation on the character. At least not a magical limitation. Now this character, whose name is flashing up now because as of this recording, I don't remember his name. It's been like a long while since I read that book, and I only read the first one. Anyway, this particular character is super powerful. He could have handled the whole magic ring, other magical people can't touch it without getting corrupted thing. He could have solved it. And I also want to get more into the other magical people can't touch the ring in a moment in the explanation about how you make the limitations. Anyway, this character is super powerful. He could have solved the whole problem, like, be done. Problem is his attitude. Because he is as powerful and I guess ageless, he gets to live in his own corner of the world, just doing whatever he feels like, which, isn't a bad thing, but it also makes him less, I would say, involved in the world and what they're going through. Hence, why they can't rely on him, because he has such a laissez-faire attitude that even though he's a nice person, you give him the ring destruction responsibility, he'll be okay. I'm going to destroy this ring for y'all. I'm going to destroy this ring for y'all. Ooh, a flower. My wife would just love this flower. Let me pick this up. There's something in there. I need to get her this flower. She just love it. And, that's way more important right now. Hence why he was not selected to destroy the ring, even though he could do it easily. Now, even though this character is not limited magically, he's limited in his ability to care about things outside of his own world because he clearly doesn't have to. So, it shows that if you want an overly powerful character in your story, that if you cannot make the limitation something with them magically, you can make the limitation something about their character. Give them a character flaw to create this limitation so that they can't just 1, 2, 3. Why are we still reading this book? It should have been over 3 seconds ago. Because this person is just that powerful. Another way to get out of creating magic rules for your characters and have them be on this super powerful tier of being able to use magic can be seen in the story The Last Unicorn, because the author of that story restricted his magical, overly powerful character, mostly in the sense of making it so he couldn't use it properly. Now, in The Last Unicorn, there is a sorcerer. Everybody thinks he's like the weakest sorcerer of all time and completely incompetent. When the real problem is he is so powerful, he don't know how to use his powers. So, the wizard who was teaching him how to use his powers cast an immortality spell on him where he will stay alive and not age until he gains control over his powers and learns how to use them. By creating the limitation of him not knowing how to properly use his magic and nobody being able to tell him, it turns this character into a more interesting character. Makes it more fun for the reader and explains why he can't use magic to get himself out of all kinds of trouble. If anything, it gets him in trouble, but if you want to learn what that is, you're going to have to pick up that book. To the last example of how creating limitations for your magical characters, if you don't want to create magic rules, can help you tell the story better. We're going back to the Lord of the Rings. To recap, Lord of the Rings, evil sorcerer, gotta destroy this ring the sorcerer made to stop said evil sorcerer. How do we keep our magical people from being so overpowered, and or if they are overpowered, restrict them from making it so that the story ends too quickly? Now, I already told y'all this overly powerful character, not the type of person you give any responsibility whatsoever. So, there's your limitation with that over there in this recap. But what about everybody else who isn't even as powerful as he is? Well, the ring has the ability to corrupt you. Well, it can corrupt anybody, magic or no magic. Except for probably hobbits. Well, hobbits get corrupted. It just takes a really long time. So, they have the time to destroy it before they go nuts. But not the point of me getting into this. The fact that the ring can corrupt other magic wielders also shows a limitation on those magic wielders, because they do not have the power, even if they are good, to really hardcore fight the overwhelming power of the ring. Which is good because it shows a restriction on their powers so that the reader can therefore just accept, okay, yeah, this person has magic, but they clearly can't do this or aren't strong enough to do something. So my suspension of disbelief ain't broken. I can roll with it. So, creating limitations on your characters by A, implying that someone's more powerful or something's more powerful. Showing that the character just doesn't really know how to use their powers and it causes them a lot of restrictions or issues because of it, are just a few of the examples how creating limitations for your magical characters when you do not wish to create magic rules can help you write a magic story that is magic rule free. Admittedly, that's not how I like to do a story. I like to create magical restrictions on my characters so it's easier for me to work in with the parameters, but that's just me. If you're the type of writer who wants to leave it out, leave it out. Do your story, but make it so that there are limitations to help make your story way more believable in the sense that you do not break the person's suspension of disbelief. And with that, this video is a wrap. Now, my lovelies, if you please, come with me as we dance into a world of